We are at episode 706. My guess. Yeah, I know. Yeah,
That's impressive.
Yeah,
there you go. Applause to you, dude. That's impressive.
Yeah, well, I'll be at about 900 something by the end of this year, assuming the world doesn't end.
Nice.
Yeah,
Very nice. And still loving it though, right? Because that's the thing.
If I didn't love it, I wouldn't do it. Like when it comes right down to it, I'm in this weird little spot where I figured out how to make money doing it. So
I need to do that. Actually, no, I don't need to do that. I like Spilling Ink kind of as it is because it's all about the social. And while, yes, I would love to see it get bigger, I fear that sometimes if something gets too big, it loses some of that organic wonderfulness that it has.
It kind of varies on that. Like, I've adjusted my show throughout the years, just based on the fact that, okay, I'm streaming now, I'm doing different things, I'm trying different things, and I have a really good understanding of what a show works and what it doesn't. And it's a combination of consistency and expectations of your audience, but it's also the people that run it. Hey, as we start here. Hi,
oh, Anita, another one of our wonderful podcasting friends.
Yes, that's right.
I love our indie family. I really do. Everybody is so good at what they do and so giving and so helpful and supportive. I mean, we just, all of us together, even though we have our own individual things, everyone just kind of really helps each other out. I love that.
Well, how do I put this? Ever so, there's no competition. I can't be you. You can't be me. Listen, there is no one that makes an ass on the show like I do. No one. Absolutely no one. But it's, again, we're in an interest. Like I said, we've hit a very interesting thing. The one episode I think you should listen to of mine not too long ago was $6.99. Because on $6.99 we talk about the nature of publishing and where it's going. And the indie versus traditional argument, I don't think, is no longer a relevant argument anymore. No. The real question today is, where is your story best served? That's it. There's no other question, really. And there's so many myriad of things that you can go and do that it makes it so that it's very, very difficult. How do I put this? It's very, very difficult to just quantify like indie, traditional. Like, we're all some form of hybrid. And at this point, I think that's the reality of the business today. And so when I look at, say, what Anita does or what Joe does or what you do, well, we all are doing different things, right? Mm-hmm. We're all doing different things. We're all doing similar things too. I mean, we wouldn't be this knit group unit of whatever if we hadn't, but it's different too. Like, your goals as someone doing interviews on your show is different than my goals. Sure. But again, right? They're different goals. That doesn't mean it's bad or good. It's just we have different goals. So your case, like for you, you're a ghostwriter right now primarily, and you got novels off the wazoo that you gotta, that you're always doing. So that's where you want your business to be. Spilling Ink for you is like fun, if that makes sense. It's like it's a break.
In a way, it is. I mean, I do like it to be informative. I do like to be able to share knowledge with our potential audience out there in how to do certain things and how to approach things and some of the difficulties in it. But for me personally, it is more of a social hour. I get to hang out with my people, so to speak, other creatives that are working to get their stories out there. So yes, it's fun, but I do want there to be an element of help to it as well. I don't want it to just be, random social hour.
Whereas me, sometimes I'll be is random social hour, which is I'm totally.
And we do have those episodes. We do, but even in those episodes, there's always nuggets of information.
Oh, I think that's every show. There has to be substance to it of some kind. There has to be, or it's not. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I spent 2.5 hours with a gentleman by the name of Stone Abdullah, he's a very fun dude, and we talked about kick-ass women in science fiction and how there's not enough of them, right? Okay. Yeah, right. We talked about that, and then we ended up talking about other things too, and it was a real fun conversation. But in all that, I mean, there's information about where where we think science fiction is right now in terms of traditional publishing, where, and ironically, the most probably backwards of all the genres right now is science fiction, which I think is hilarious. But that's where we're at, and that's where we're at in the field and the genres and all that stuff right now, right? That's like we are coming in, like I said. So at this point, it's like we all have these little groups and places and stuff we belong in too, and yeah, screw it. Like, and some of us can cross over to a myriad of streams. Some of us are just happy in whatever niches we're at. My impression of you with you, what is you're happy where you're at least in terms of a show. Like you enjoy where it is, you like what it is. Whether you get bigger or smaller, I don't think is really your goal there. Your goal is to have fun. I mean, you and Jane goof off all the time, and Jane is awesome, by the way. I think she's amazing. But
yes, she is. Yes, she
but
absolutely is.
no, she was like one of my biggest surprises last year. Like, because I didn't expect her. We're more alike in terms of how we think than I thought we'd be. Right?
Yeah, you see the persona projected during a show, and you build your own thoughts on how that person's going to be, and then you see them off the air, and you really get to see that inner personality come out.
Oh, she's a lot more like me than I thought. Like she's like an older, she's an older, slightly wiser version of myself, which I think is good. But I mean, I can just see
Okay,
it's like,
sure.
yeah. But but again, we're very similar in terms of how we think, and I again was a pleasant surprise when I had her on the show. It's just like, oh wow, you're like my older piratey sister. Cool. Right?
I like that. I like that.
That's what
That's
she
cool.
is. She will do it. Like the thing I really like admire about her is she does what she damn well pleases.
Yes.
She
Yes.
totally does, and she doesn't give a rat's ass in the best way. It's like, you know what, I'm gonna do this.
That comes with age, though.
No,
As we get older, our give a fuck is a lot less, and we tend to do more of our stuff.
I'm at that point now. Like I told you guys, like right for New Year, I barely give a like. I'm expecting probably at some point in Canada, some point down the road, I might be a wanted crook, just because
God.
like I, I I don't care. Like I've hit that point in my life where it's no longer about. It's about, for me, I'm only here once, as far as I know. And as so I gotta treat this like this is I gotta make the world what I want it to be. And I recognize the fact that means that might entitle me to go against what's currently going on. So I think it's not entirely a bad thing right now. I think that needs, right, but that's something I've accepted. So that means when time, like, there's not if, it's just like if the time comes or when the time comes, I'm just gonna be like, this is me, like it, love it, fuck it, I don't care, right? So right, and that's
I think collectively, though, like the world at large is getting to that point just because of the last couple of years have pushed us to our limits.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, but I mean it comes down to two things as far as the world. If you want to talk about the world in general, really, I'm not going to talk about the yays, nays, about all the medical science.
No, we're not going to get into the weeds there. No.
Yeah, no. But what I will say is a lot of the problems of today is there's just that realization that there is no leadership out there that I don't think you can look at and say communicates well or has any integrity.
Integrity. Yeah.
Well, no, that's what it comes down to. It doesn't matter what part of the world you're at. You can sense the dishonesty, and people are waking up to it more and more and more and more today. I read something today that makes me think that by this time next year, we're not going to have the same. A lot of people are going to be closer to my way of thinking than the other way by the end of next year. But that all said, it's just one of those situations where again, we've come to that. There's a subconscious thing of we don't feel like they're like it's being honest or fair in any way, shape, or form. And that's come to a breaking point, especially in life of the current wave, because the majority of people have cooperated. and still here we are. What's going on?
Yep. Sad facts.
Yeah, well, but
On to
again,
happier things.
yeah, we won't go into too much detail, but that's where a lot of this attitude comes from. Like that's where a lot of this is coming from. So the reality of the situation, the way out, is clarity and honesty. That's the way out. There might be some angry people as a result of this, and there will be. But better now, the longer this holds up, when it does collapse, it's going to get nastier. And that's just how I see it. Now, I might be on something, or I might be onto something, but that's just kind of how I see it. And
I'm more of the pessimist viewpoint. I feel like we have to collapse in order to rebuild. So it's not going to be a universal wake up and everybody's going to realize what we need. It's going to be things are going to collapse to the point where it nearly hits anarchy before things are fixed.
Oh, that's coming regardless of what happens this year.
But I mean, we got to get out of the sad topics. We got to get off the downward spiral here.
No, it's just you know, I tend to be an optimist, but I'm also, how do I put I will say this. I hate my dad's term of realist. I don't think there's such thing as a realist in this world, right?
Huh. Okay.
Because I'm a realist, Josh. I go, no, you're not. You bullshit just as much as I do. I'm just honest in my bullshit. I have no. That's the thing. I'm older, right? So I don't give the same level of fucks. I respect people's opinions, but if I think a certain way or be a certain way, that's it. I'm gonna tell you, because I'm not. I feel like I just cut to the chase. Right? That's that. I mean, because we don't have time. We don't have time, right? So
don't got time for the bullshit.
Yeah, I'm too old for that crap. Right? Yeah. I'm too. No, I straight up. I think if you're 20, you're too old for that crap. But at 20, you don't fully see, because you haven't been through that ride. You haven't been through that ride a couple of times. Once you get to about 25, you start. There's a pattern here. By the time you get to 30, you're like, this is shit. But you're still kind of like unsure of yourself. Then you get to like closer to like the mid 30s, like, and then you're like, fuck this noise. And then you get there, right? That's like fuck. That's what happens, right? That's literally what happens is fuck this noise. So I'm terrified what I'm gonna be like in 10 years, because in 10 years, I might be that guy like all tatted up and just like that rebel. You'll see like the wanted poster sign goes, what happened? I just stopped giving a fuck.
Wait, how old are you now, Josh?
40.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
You can see it.
You're heading into the for women, what is it? The old crone years. What is it for men? Where you're the wizened, you've lived through the bullshit, you don't have time for crap anymore.
Yeah, well, I hit there quicker. Like I said, I compared to my dad. I hit there faster than he did, and it's one of those things where I just recognize in myself, just like, you know what, I can get away with more crap, and I just realized this. I had this like I had these like two like wonderful magical realizations. It's just like, I can still do pretty much whatever I goddamn please. I've been playing with that a little bit. We're not going to talk about that on the air because that might get me in trouble. But
why don't we? Hold on a second. You always ask us to get ourselves in trouble. Let's see about you getting in trouble.
I am more than willing to tell you off the air everything I'm up to and everything I'm playing with. But on the air, it's like, because I'm not hiding anything. It just feel here. I'm not saying I'm a curmudgeon is the term.
Curmudgeon. Yes. Oh, I love that word. Yes.
I'm not quite sure I'm curmudgeonly, because here's the thing. For all I'm saying, I'm still very much a romantic. I actually do believe in the best. I do believe that, like, all things being equal, it's going to work out one way or the other. I actually do truly believe that. But I'm also at that point, it's like, I recognize something. It's like, the quicker we wake up to, it's like, a lot of this is bullshit we don't have to do, the quicker we'll get to the next phase of, let's do something that we all can be happy about. Because I feel like the real war in this world is keeping joy and kindness and like compassion alive in spite of everything else around it. I think that's actually harder to do.
What are those things?
Those things. I don't know what those things are. You know that thing you look at with your children? Can you do that with a complete stranger, even just for a little bit? Now, again, you might, that's
Oh, that's
hard.
asking a lot.
It is asking a lot. No, it really is. But I mean, I tend to think like how we treat others comes back to us. That's
Yes.
kind of how I see it. And so I would rather at this particular point, again, and this is something I've said openly on the air, I'd rather be kind in this time than any other, because it's easy to be mean, cruel, guarded, vicious in a time like this because everybody's afraid. It's much harder being open, compassionate, honest, dreaming, encouraging. And I that is again, this isn't my first apocalypse. It's just not the first worldwide apocalypse for me. And I realized like the first time around, I was angry and I held on to it longer than I should have. And the second time around, it's just like, well, you know what? I know this time will come and this time will go. But in the meantime, who am I going to be in this time? Right. And that's been it. Like, who do I want to be? And I can be that way and not worry about it quite so much, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah. No comment, no thoughts, no.
No, I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it there.
Yeah. All right. So, but that all said, you haven't released a book in a while.
It's been about a year. In fact, I just shared something on Facebook about the year anniversary of the write and edit the damn book that I put out last year.
Yeah.
And I've felt bad that I haven't released anything, but the client work that I've been doing has had me very busy. I've done I can talk. I've done ghostwriting a lot more this year than anything else. Last year was more editing work. This year is way more ghostwriting. So while I haven't released anything, I've technically written quite a few books in this year.
I know, but again, Katie Salidas, the brand, Katie the ghostwriter. It's like, we're going to see more Katie Salidas have her name again. I'm going to get my name back.
You know how much it kills the ego when you see books that you've ghostwritten doing really well, and then you're looking at your own books going, what the heck? Why aren't you selling? But I haven't had time really to do the marketing for it. So it's partially my own fault, but I have to, I've got bills to pay. I got to do what's going to earn the money first. And then if there's leftover, then I can work on other things.
I actually had this big epiphany. I've been reading different freelance like strategies, things of that nature, because I'm going to be trying some again. Now, that's the crazy shit I can openly talking about is I'm doing my first Kickstarter later on this year.
Oh, well, let's hear about it.
I'm going to do a book board game combination.
Oh.
Finally, it's going to. Ooh, yes. Going back to what I said about your book serving. So my Alice books are pretty good, or so I'm told. And I want to.
So modest.
Hey,
come on, you're the one always telling me to stand up and be there. No, say how good I am.
But here's the thing. I so far since I released the second book, since I advertised the second book, my first book, I'm just putting this up there. Yes, Rebecca. Rebecca will bully you. I know Rebecca will say it.
God bless her. She has tried. I've just been so busy with client work that there's been no time for me to switch gears into other stories.
Yeah, no, it's just so it's like since November. So actually, here's the thing that's happened to me. Like I'll talk about Alice. This is the first time I've had people come to me personally and comment to me about my books. Podcasts, I've heard lots of good things about, right, and again, but Alice was the as there you go.
See, look at that.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So this is the first time, not just like from a lot of different people, including there's a certain Amazon #1 bestseller that wrote very nice things about my book. So nice. Yeah, so I mean, this is the first time this has happened. The next step for me is a physical release because this is so I accidentally invented a board game because I just do creative shit.
Accidentally, as you do.
Yeah, no, everybody looks at me going, how the hell do you do that? It's like, I just do things and I let those things happen. I don't like, there is a give and take. about when you do things, about letting things happen and embracing. So in this case, I came up with this idea of a snakes and ladders style map for Alice, because the world she's going to visit. And I literally asked, I don't know whether you believe in God, the universe, whatever. I literally asked, how do you play this? Because it seems like a really fun idea. How do you play this? And I'm not kidding. When I asked, I got an answer. I got an answer. And all the rules kind of went in my head, and I still got to do some little bits of game testing. That's the spring. Also, my artist is getting married, this year, so I'm going to wait till after she's married before we can do some serious talks about some stuff. But the idea is I'm going to be looking at board game, like be doing some testing in the spring. Probably at some point in the springtime, I'm going to be doing some final tinkering. I have some buddies who are really good gamers, so we'll go through it, kind of look at the concept, and there's a co-op version, which is what I'm going to release the first time around, the co-op version of the game. There's also a versus version of the game, again, but they both tie into the story very, very much. So it's like, Alice 1, the first full book, have the first board game. There'll be a physical book with the board game. So what I'm going to be doing is, this goes back to the freelancing thing. I've been thinking in terms of what a freelancer actually does. And at the end of the day, it's service, customer service. That's what it is. Yeah. When you break it all down, you're a ghostwriter. Your client is these companies that do these things. You're really good at what you do. Ergo, they're giving you more work than you know what to do with right now, because you're a great writer, and you really are. But here's my question to you, and this is where we're going to go full circle.
Okay.
So Katie Salidas, the author, also does customer service. How does she reach out and serves her clients? Not the ghostwriter, the author.
No answer.
No answer.
Can I phone a friend? Do I have a 50-50?
I don't, but I'm putting it to you like this for a reason, because I do get the feeling that you want more books with your name on it going forward, right?
Of course.
Right? Absolutely, right? So my thought going
the
forward,
ego demands it.
It's beyond just ego. You worked hard. You want, and not just the quote unquote justification for it. You're gonna also ultimately make more money. It's just good business for you to have a valid name, right? You look at someone like Catherine Hudson, for example. She also still ghostwrites, although not to the degree she did, because her books have taken off, because she's found her niche in her service, how she serves. And I bring this up like this because in terms, like one of the things I'm going to be playing with on Kickstarter is I'm not just looking at making my books affordable for certain people. I'm going for the gratuitous, over the top bullshit too. Okay. Because here's the thing, right? Not every customer wants to go for the best deal possible. Some want to be pampered, want the full experience of what that is. So what would that be for you? For me, I'm looking at the fact that, okay, so my Kickstarter is going to be, I'm going to probably have 75 is what it's probably going to cost, right, for the book and the board game together.
Sure.
Maybe I do $150 version of the game, which you get some really cool bonuses to go with it. I don't need a lot of people to buy at that price. I just need enough people to buy. Maybe I come up with something stupid for $1,000. Limit that to 4. You know what I mean by stupid? Like something like what is the most ridiculous? Like looking at this from a customer perspective, when you read a book, what do you hope to get out of it?
Entertainment.
Yeah, but do you want to feel something? What do you want to feel? What do you want to experience in the book? I mean, it's entertaining, sure,
but the book that you pick, it's the escape. So you're diving into that main character's life, so to speak, when you're reading it. So I don't know. For me personally, though, when I look at books, I don't expect more of them than just that, just to be entertained for the time that I'm reading the pages. Now, for me as the author, what do I want to do? I want to see the books become something more than they are, like eventually maybe be adapted to the screen. That would be my next biggest goal.
video games, video game screen, film screen.
Any screen at that point, because usually one leads to another. But yeah, I would like to see it visually represented at some point so that people can experience it in a different medium.
I love that answer.
Character connection. Yeah. Well, you do become the character as you read.
Yeah.
Whether you're reading for the villain or reading for, whoever, you find yourself in every story you read.
Oh, absolutely. No,
Like that meme I was talking about on Saturday. I've had so many character developing moments. I'm going to become a villain soon.
It's not always bad to be the bad guy. Sometimes it's good to be the bad guy.
It could be liberating too.
But that's the thing. It's see, I again long. Okay, so I'll tell you some. I'll tell you something. It's well in the past at this point. It's not something I'm particularly proud of, but I understood a big part of my past with this. So I remember like my first really serious relationship came about when I met them. They were married. When we started dating, they were divorced. Did I play a part in that happening? A little bit, not to the degree people think, but a little bit. Enough that I know the part I played in that, and it's
So
not
you're
something
a
I'm
catalyst of some kind.
Yes.
Okay.
What she was a barrel racer. She was trying to train her horses to go and do her thing.
Okay.
And one of her horses died, and it was from some kind. To this day I don't know what poisoned that well. I don't know. What I do, no one knows. What I do know is when her horse was dead, she came in. I remember this. I was there visiting both of them. She was absolutely like she was about to break in like tears. Well, yeah, because that horse meant a lot to her. He wouldn't give her a hug. He just wouldn't do. No, this is. Oh yeah, this is. This is what happened. And I remember I went up to her. I said, "Okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to sit down here. You're going to sit down here. You're going to cry as long as you need to cry.
Aw.
Right? Until you feel you can get up." That's what she did. She cried. But after that, we kind of had a connection that, and that, again, was it the only reason? No. But do I think that played a part of it? Yes. Right? I was not the hero in that story. I was not. And this is just something I'm just being very real about. I wasn't. I had to look it up.
The hero is the villain is the hero of their story. They're the villain of someone else's.
Not always. Sometimes you're very aware of what you're doing and why you're doing it. And in that particular case, I was. Okay. I'm being very brutally honest about myself.
Sure.
This is one of those life lessons I learned. And that's the thing. I learned very early on that you're not always sometimes you're very aware you're the villain of the story. And sometimes you don't care. Okay. And that's fine as long as you're willing to pay and there were consequences to that. And
what were the consequences? Because that's true.
Right. And that's a big part of sometimes but also there are situations where being the villain isn't necessarily a bad thing. Like, for example, when you have kids, sometimes you have to be the tyrant. Sometimes you have to be the ruler of all evil. Sometimes
it's not tough love for a reason.
Yeah. So it's not like those qualities aren't necessarily in of themselves bad. Now, in my particular case, like it was not in the best. But again, I'm honest, right? Again, I'm being honest about this, right? It's not something I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not proud of that. But I learned something big about myself in that process. Okay. Right? And to the point that when I had a second chance, I walked away from it. I learned, I had enough. So right at the end, and we're still friends. But there was she told me outright, I married this guy because to help raise my kid. Like there's no actual connection there. And then like this is the thing. Like this is real, right? This is real life, and this is something that gets presented to you, right? So I had the opportunity right then and there if I wanted to pursue something. This is one of my last nights there. I could have. I didn't. I decided that I was not going to be that guy. But it's one of those things where the universe says, "Are you sure?" Right? And the universe will do that to you
Oh,
too.
that's a test. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a test.
Yeah. Well, no, the universe. I don't know. You get tested in life. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. I lost the first test. I'm not even going to deny it, but I didn't lose it the second time, because for me, it's like, if I'm going to have a healthy relationship with somebody down the road, then I'm going to have to treat all relationships healthy, regardless of the situations in front of me, whether they're married or
Okay.
they're not, like whatever, it doesn't matter. But the first time, oh no. I was the villain. And it definitely did develop my character quite a bit. And I don't hold no bones about it. Again, if you can look at yourself honestly, where, okay, I was the bad guy here, and I can look at me, and you can look at yourself that honestly, right? That in itself is a sign of character growth and development. We don't get it all right. That idea that we're always the hero, if you can ditch that, if you can ditch that idea, you will grow a lot more, because sometimes you will look at yourself and go, "Nope, I was a dumbass." That's most of my mistakes. I fall in that category. Like, they were dumbass mistakes, right? They were dumbass mistakes, right?
Sure.
Right?
Yep.
And I only make those mistakes until I'm in the grave. That's just life. Some mistakes, no, sometimes I can be an asshole. And then that's just being very honest. It's a very honest assessment of my character.
Okay. Fair
Yeah.
enough. Yeah. And again, that kind of wisdom comes with age, though.
Oh yeah. Well, I was 26 when I learned that lesson, so I was young enough, but it was just one of those things where, again, you learn when you learn. You learn when you learn. And I learned. And one of the decisions, that was a decision. And again, considering and I'm not going to tell tales out of school, considering my history, my family's history, it's a deliberate choice to break a pattern. So,
Okay.
but I understand why that pattern. I'm a lot more empathetic to some things now. Because, again, sometimes being the villain, you can be like, I see why you did this. Fucked up, but I do see why you did this. Right?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So, what's been your big character development?
Oh, geez. There's too many to name.
Pick one. Just pick one.
Oh, learning how to stand up for yourself has probably been the biggest lesson over the last 3 to 4 years. And I'm still learning that lesson, because while, yes, it's a good thing, it comes with its own set of consequences. And even when you make the choice to stand up for yourself, it's not always going to be the easy path afterwards. A lot of times you get the hardest path by learning to stand up for yourself. So it's been a few years worth of that lesson just being pounded into me, and it's not over yet.
But you have to stand up for yourself. So yeah, that's the reality. That lack of confidence, if you don't stand up for yourself, also kills you. It's just, it feels more pleasant in the moment, but it's
It feels
probably
easier. Yeah.
it's easier. It feels easier, but it's actually more soul crushing,
Mm-hmm.
because there are things you just, again, what do you stand for? Right? What matters to you? And if you're
Yep.
willing to compromise that, what are you?
Like I said, life lessons over the last few years, and it's not one that's over yet,
No.
because I'm still feeling the effects and having to continue with that foot on the ground from things a couple years ago that were started. So it's been rough, but it's got to happen.
Yeah, it does. You're going to be strong when it's over. I'll have to be even nicer to you, because you just might, just like cack me, put me like in like a chokehold somewhere, and I'll be like, please don't, just don't, like, but no, but
I will become unstoppable.
yes, And I honestly can't wait for no, legit, I can't wait for that day. That'll be awesome. That would be amazing. So one of my sponsors this month she runs a coffee shop here, and one of the kindest people I've ever met, but also one of the strongest. And because she built what she built largely on her own. That comes with good and bad, because what happens to someone like her, is, she's made this amazing thing. And now everybody looking at her is like she's there's a little bit in her. And I call it like not necessarily fight as in throw a punch. That comes with learning how to be a little ruthless. You have to be. It's the nature of the world. Whatever you might think about a guy by the name of Jordan Peterson, one of the things I do think he's absolutely right on is good people aren't people who can't think terrible thoughts. Good people are people who can have those terrible thoughts and control them. I think he's right.
Sure,
Because
that makes sense.
Yeah, I think he's absolutely right. And his reference to the archetype is the beast, Beauty and the Beast. The beast, if you look at the beast, is this monster, but this is a monster that has learning to humanize those traits. And he goes, well, why is she? I mean, considering everybody else that's in the area, why is she going after him? Because he's actually the strongest and possibly the best, because he understands what those things are. Like I said, acknowledging your inner villain, right? It's understanding where you aren't a good person, right? And that's again, self-mastery, wisdom, age, blah 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 blah
Yes,
blah.
yes.
Right? But having that ruthlessness is good. Now, reining it in, you're going to make mistakes there. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Especially if you've been pushed for such a long time. The reaction is
very easy to snap. Yes.
Yeah, the action's
and
very
overact instead of just react. Yeah.
Yeah, it happens, and it can happen to the best of us. Like, I know some people find this hard to believe, but sometimes I can be an asshole, and I'm aware of it. Don't tell anybody, especially Anita, right? But the thing is, right? The thing is, because I understand what my at least some of my character limitations are, right? Some of them I'm okay with. Like I said, I'm gonna make lots of stupid mistakes the rest of my life, and I'm very good with that. I because again, that's where on the flip side, that's where I accidentally make shit like board games and stuff, just things of that nature. I embrace those. I do stupid shit sometimes, and good things come from it. But at the same time, it's acknowledging the holes in my game, and acknowledging where I need to get better. And some things I will get better, and some things I won't. Right? Because we're not meant to be perfect the whole way. But knowing those things, it's like, okay, where should I mitigate me being an asshole? Probably on the air, because it's what I do. Right? That doesn't mean it's not there. It doesn't mean this is, like I said, it's one of those things like I try to be the hero in my own story.
Okay.
But there's a difference between trying to be and actually being that hero. Right? And where I think where that line actually is. And like I said, and sometimes, some days, I'm the villain. And I'm okay with being the villain. Right? Sometimes it can be fun to be, like as you say, it can be quite liberating to be the villain.
Yes, it can. Oh, yes, it can. Letting yourself have that thing that you want.
Well, it's not even that. It's like sometimes, like, again, that my inner asshole there are good points when that can come out. My roommate, her boyfriend's brother, had this complex about not being able to do anything. So, like, just like he's too little and all, like he had a lot of like issues he had to work through. But whereas other people were coddling him, I wasn't. I was being a complete asshole to him, because I know bullshit when I hear it, and I'm going to call you on it. And that's
okay.
You need that. Again, somebody to be very, you're bullshitting me here, pal. I'm too little. It's like, oh, do you need a lollipop? Right. So I mean, and that is, again, that's inside me, and it's okay.
Sure.
And it's okay in that situation. Now, I wouldn't do that if someone was coming to me, it's like, hey, listen, I have a real problem and I don't know what to do. That's different.
Yeah.
That is
Well,
a very different thing, and that's a very real thing. But if you're like, you know what you need to do, why are you being a cunt? Right?
yeah.
Right? Yeah, it's like, why are you being that person? And you're just, and there's no good reason other than it's easy. I got no problem being a dick to you. I just don't. It's just that is something inside me where I have it, and it's not necessarily my best quality either, but it's there. I can't. I don't have it in me. I don't have patience for people who make no effort. I just don't. And it's just it's just something I've learned, right? So
I have those moments too where I will lash out and then immediately afterwards regret it and feel like, oh my God, I was a complete fucking asshole. But in that moment of lashing out, oh God, it felt good.
felt real, right? Yeah, satisfying a little bit, right?
Yeah, well,
Right.
and like the whole astrology thing that we were talking about back on Spilling Ink, there's a part in my chart that explains it, and it's that ability to not only shred somebody with words, but to do it very quickly,
Mhm.
just like
Yeah.
that. And I've got that, just it's right there. It's so easy to access that if I let myself, I could really just be a complete and utter asshole and make everyone around me feel like shit. But that's not me. I've
No.
got, that other side of me comes out immediately after I lash out. I'm like, man, I gotta go say sorry and make amends. I have my own self-inflicted guilt that just hits immediately
See,
after I do it.
we're gonna have. I think that there's gonna be a little. You and your guilt are gonna have a little. Just out of curiosity, were you like raised like in like a like Catholic or Baptist or something like that background like that? Yeah,
Catholic guilt, gotta love it.
yeah. So
I
that
call
wasn't.
myself a recovering Catholic.
I'd give you a hug. There. I do believe in God, but yeah, Catholic's never been my thing.
They can lay on that guilt, man.
Oh no, guilt and fear are very easy levers, but
Mhm.
fear dies eventually. Guilt, however, does not necessarily die. If you can feel it's like somebody is in the wrong, right? See, where right? I ironically I learned about this of all places. Ayn Rand's Atlas Shrugged talked about that in
Okay.
great detail, right? About guilt. A guiltless man is someone you cannot control. So, and they're right.
Yeah.
A guiltless man is someone you cannot control.
Well, have you ever heard of
So
Brene Brown? She did a really amazing TED talk on guilt and shame, and the difference between the two, where
mhm,
guilt is I did something wrong, shame is I am something wrong. And if
mhm.
somebody doesn't have those two in them, or doesn't have the ability to feel either of those, there's nothing you can do to control them because
What
they believe that they are 100% good and right in
that's
everything.
no. It's not that's not it either. That's not quite it. I can acknowledge my faults, but
Okay.
I'm not guilt. I don't feel guilty once it's done. It right? If I do you wrong, I will be sincere in my apologies. And if it's something really terrible, I'll do what I can, what I feel is right to make amends. But once I feel I've done that, I let it go.
Okay.
There's
So you do
no
have the feelings of guilt, but
but
you have your own, what is it? Rules on how to appease that.
yeah, well, you can't hang on to stuff. That's the thing. Like, there's like, and this is hard. Like, this is again one of those modern things. Hey, Trisham 2376. This is what she said, by the way. Yeah,
Mm,
nice.
dinner with
So
the kids, that's important.
it is very important to have dinner with the kids. But the thing is, right? It's again, it's not that I don't have a moral compass. I do. I do know when I can be, as I said earlier in this conversation, I am very honest when I'm the villain of the story.
Well, you just
Right.
said too that once you have appeased your guilt, it's over. So there is a
Well,
moral compass there. You have your own set limitations.
it's not even, I would say, even appeasing guilt. It's just being honest, right? right? Hi guys. Hi Trish and Mike. How you guys doing? Right. But the thing is, right? Once you understand like what you've done, and once you do what you can to, again, for if I ask for forgiveness, yes, that is
Yep.
the difference. That is
That's
the
true.
difference.
That's true.
That is the difference right there. That is
But
really
as
what it
you
comes.
said, Josh, you make the amends to the point where you satisfy your guilt and it's gone.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't let anyone, and then if someone tries to browbeat me, then I stop feeling guilty immediately. It's like, nope. Because at that point, it's no longer about whether I was right or wrong. This is about you wanting to assert some kind of control.
They've negated your guilt at that point.
Yeah, it's like, no. It's like, yeah, it's like, nah, you're not controlling me. I'm just not.
And now I'm not sorry.
No, it's not, I'm not sorry. I am. I might still be sorry, but that's it. We're done. Like,
But
there's
there
nothing
are
else I can.
moments though where you are the villain
Yeah.
and you're not sorry because they deserved it.
Well, no. Well, I do now see that I do have in me, but the thing is, I've also learned how that can be poisoned too from my own family's history. Again, you
Okay.
have to, at some level, at some point, you have to let it go. Right? That guilt, that shame, anything, like even fear, all these things, you must let them go at some point, or you will always, they will be your prison. I've said it this year that fear is the door. The thing that terrifies you the most is the thing you must face. If you can do that, you will go to different levels. Guilt, you have to acknowledge when you're, again, I'm not right. So I'm wrong. I have a lot of shit. I am. And I acknowledge that. Right. I'm not perfect by any stretch of the imagination.
Nobody is.
Nobody is. But I'm open, but again, I'm open and honest enough about it to acknowledge that, okay, you know what? I screwed up. There's no excuse. There's no magic. I screwed up. I'm sorry. It's not much I can offer. I don't think sorry. Sorry is one of those words where I don't feel it quantifies. Oh, let's see.
Oh, where do you draw the line at killing a bad guy? Oh, well, yeah, I have no problems with killing bad guys. So
Yeah.
I'm probably not the person you want at the table for that. So,
And
fictionally speaking, I'm good at killing people.
and Trish and Anita is you should read her stuff. She's like, killing is
Anita
definitely
too,
not.
yes.
Yeah. See, and that's the thing, right? But there's also a point where it's like, okay, will that make a difference? And that's actually a good question sometimes too, right? Will that really make a difference if you do? Now, in some cases, if you want to talk superhero stuff, probably the Joker probably should have been cacked at some point in the journey. Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. But I mean, there are some villains, again, there's a difference between an honest mistake too. Like, mistakes happen. And I'm not saying like this is one of those, it's not a light mistake when you kill somebody. So that's the questions that they're asking. Not
Sure.
always. I don't quite have the eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth concept in me. It depends on what happened and why it happened. Right? Impact can't be denied, but it's the interpretation of events. I always look at things of intentions can't be questioned. Impact cannot be questioned. Interpretation, well, there's lots of questions there sometimes. And understanding
and again, I opt just for killing them if need be. So yeah, if he killed somebody, okay, he can be killed. His life's on the line. That's fine. Does it serve the story? Is the real question. Not would you or wouldn't you kill them? Does it serve the story?
Yeah. Well, again, as I mentioned, the Joker is that the Joker
He
is
already deserved death, though.
Yeah, long. Like, the Joker has killed so many people that honestly, at this point, Batman is guilty of negligence. You can make a really good argument. You can make a good argument on that one because he's killed, crippled, maimed, hurt so many people. There's no chance to reform him. He is simply who he is. That I don't know what else you do. Like, but the reason you kill him is because there's a lack of good solutions. You know what I mean? So if there was a better solution to that, maybe, but I don't think there is one in that case. Now, someone, right? That's just where I'm at on that, right? But that's the Joker, right? If you look at some of the other Batmans, like I don't know if Clayface would deserve the same fate. He's killed people. I'm not sure. Like Bane, maybe you'd have to kill Bane because that's the guy who has no remorse. Like he'd just do it again, right? So,
And
right?
I'm just like, kill them all. That's
Kill 'em
fine. Does it
all.
fit the story? Does it make do they have an interesting death too? Because let's not just make it a stupid death. Let's make
Mhm.
it something worth watching.
Yeah,
So yeah, if it fits the story, go for it. Kill them all.
kill them all. And I somehow feel in real life though, Katie's like moose and squirrel. No, nope, not doing it. Not doing it. Just
No,
not.
what's funny is so in one of my client works, I have to be careful because I can't talk
Yeah.
too much about the ghostwriting stuff. But it was late at night. My teenager had walked in while I was researching for a story that I was writing for a client. And on the screen, I had this beautiful cabin and I had Google Maps open and I was looking at areas along the Hudson River. And she's like, "Oh, what are you looking for?" And I was like, "A place to kill somebody." And not missing a beat, she's like, "Okay, have fun," and walked out. Because
Yep.
I was researching, I needed a good location along the Hudson where there would be a good place to drop somebody off a cliff, where it was remote enough, where the body could still float downstream. And yeah,
That
researching
works.
the best way to kill somebody for the story.
Yeah. Well, again, everything in your story has to have a reason to it. Like
Yep.
I'm so my next release, I'm drawing it. Isn't that cool?
Cool.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. The next evolution, you've been doing these drink and draws for what, a year now?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, use
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I am. I'm planning on it. I actually what I'm gonna see if I can do is the model for the character I'm killing it. I'm not gonna say how because it's not really that she dies. It's a surprise.
Okay,
It's the hows and the whys, right? So
sure.
one of the scenes I kind of want to do is the person I modeled after. I'm gonna see if I can get her to do something where she's in the rain splashing because
Cool.
well I've been getting yeah, always, right? So I've been getting my beta reads back. I got like one beta reader left. Almost all of them universally liked the story except for one guy. He didn't like it at
Nice.
all. But everybody else universally liked it. So now I get to do a draft where I'm just drawing I have to draw the damn thing now so it looks like what it's supposed to look like.
Okay.
And yeah, no, I'm terrified in like the best way. Like I said, fear is a door. What if this and for me, the fear of art has always been like, well, what if it sucks? And then I had this wonderful thought hit me. So what if it sucks?
Okay.
Right? So what? It's not really about good is relative. Good is
Yeah, that's
um
true.
yeah, good is relative. No, don't feel don't hold on. Yeah, no, it's totally no, don't you're not taking away you're not taking away anything,
Writing
Chris.
characters is all about understanding human nature.
Yeah, that's what
You have to
honestly
understand the motivations and the drives and desires that push someone in one direction or another.
that's where your conflict is. It's always where conflict is in a good story. It's not the 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 plot is honestly, and as this is a guy that's had a character in his novel that a unicorn who farts out advertisements. So I mean, I definitely have a certain sense of the absurd.
Mhm.
But one of the things I realized is that those absurdities don't in and of themselves matter. What matters is what character connections, how do they actually impact the story? Because that's what the conflict is. The real conflict that people give a shit about. The rest doesn't matter. And I can kill 100 people and that doesn't serve a damn unless it does something with the character. There's a story being
Unless
told,
yeah, unless it
right?
serves the story and unless the readers actually care about the fate of those people or the hero avenging those people, they have to care.
Yeah. So who are these characters? What is their conflict? Why do I give a shit?
Mhm.
That is the basics of how to. It's also how I pitch a story, by the way. Is I try to answer those three
That's
questions.
your
If I
log
can,
lines, exactly.
yeah, that's it. It's real quick. It's real simple. Let's see what she's saying here.
Yep.
Sometimes, Tris,
Yep.
for those watching, but the understanding of the character also seems from the creator either a dark side they are hiding, something they strive to be, or just that the writer's crazy and smoking some crazy stuff. Well, here's the thing, Trish. I don't pretend. I don't hide anything. That's the thing. Like the one thing about art, doesn't matter who or what you are, is you can't run from yourself. You just can't, right? No matter how much you try, the final result of the story, the final result of the story is going to very much reflect on some level the person creating it. The good, the bad, the ugly, the different. And usually, almost always, it's what the creator gives a shit about. And on some level. If it's good, it will show up. Right? If it's not where it needs to be, your reader will feel very confused and unsure what to do with the story.
Potentially unsatisfied, yes.
Yes. Whereas if I get you, I know who you are, I know why you're doing this, and will you fulfill expectation A or will you subvert that expectation? If you can do that, right? A lot of people think subverting expectation is the cool thing. No, sometimes going
It's
into
a tricky
it.
ground to play on, because if you subvert expectations in a way that is unsatisfying to the majority of your readers, they will turn against you. Think of that last season of Game of Thrones. Granted, the author never finished the books to give an official how that ended, but the way that they handled it, it was so rushed. It didn't follow any of the expected plot lines. It didn't close out any plot lines. And they did the rug pull at the end where the supposed hero was actually the villain, and it didn't fit. It didn't feel right.
Yep.
And they ruined it for quite a lot of people. So you got to be careful with subverting expectations. You got to make sure it makes sense.
Well, it was hard to root against Daenerys at that because again, she was one of the only characters with any real sense of honor in the series. Like she was one of the only ones.
And hey, good people can go mad with power, absolutely, but not with the breakneck speed they wanted to do it in.
No,
and that's one of the reasons it didn't fit, because you spent 7 seasons building a character up to suddenly make them go crazy. Same thing with the Kingslayer. You spent 7 seasons on a redemption arc for him to just throw it all away at the end? What?
Yep.
Like, nothing they did made sense, and it just killed it.
It was also, again, I mean, and this is, to some degree, this is something like George R.R. Martin's going to have to live with, because he did have
he
to
didn't
say in
finish
that.
the story.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's it. Like, they had to kind of make a guess, and like television studios in the United States have a real tendency not to care. Yeah, that's it.
Yep, wasted years. That is
totally,
exactly the thought.
That's it. Trish, you do comics. Comics is all about that investment. Even books here, it doesn't matter what it is. Once you get readers into the story, you have to realize like what the payoff is supposed to be. I'm doing analysis retelling. Guess what? I know what the expected payoff is going to be, right? What it should be.
Right.
And I know exactly and I also know exactly how I'm going to get there. What I'm going to do, what I'm hoping to do for anybody that reads all the way to the very end, when you get to the end of the arc, I'm going to break you emotionally. I'm going to break you. That's the idea. I'm good there because I know exactly what my story is about. I know the expectations I'm playing with. I know how to tie into Wonderland, how to put Greek tragedy and Wonderland together in a whimsical way that's really, really fun. Right? Yeah, no, it's it. Yo, absolutely. That's really that's what happens.
Yep.
Right? People want to obsess over stuff, and you gotta recognize what you have and what they're obsessing over. Something I asked very quickly with Katie is, how does she best serve her audience? Well, that's some of the shit you gotta think about, right?
I still don't have an answer.
Yeah, so
my hope is to be entertaining, but if no one's reading the books, I don't know if I'm doing my job.
Well, but again, if your hope is to be entertaining, how do you? Again, this goes back to you as a reader. How do you want to best connect to a book, right? To get so invested in that someone like Trish will go and buy all the merchandise. Like, what is that feeling you're trying to evoke and capture that you're trying to share? what does Katie Salidas give a shit about right this minute that she wants to share to the world? I mean, is it that to embrace the inner villain? I think you do. I think you do a wonderful job doing like a downfall arc right now, based on what you've told me of all the character development stuff.
Yes, I definitely could be a villain and enjoy it.
Yes, it's okay, and sometimes a little bit of that's okay.
Oh no, I see. I would go mad with power.
Yeah.
I understand the going mad with power side of it.
Yes. Well, then someone would eventually run into someone that would slam you hard. You'd go that you get the universe will let you go for a while, then you'd run into
I think
somebody.
that's what I need. I need to find like a partnership that balances with me.
Yeah, so someone that'll look at you and say, "Listen, you can't go that mad. You need a
Mhm.
little."
Yeah.
Have you
Need the
thought
checks
about
and
that?
balances. Yeah.
Yeah, I got that. No,
That's why I said with Jane on Spilling Ink last Saturday, maybe co-writing another series this year might be a good idea, because it'll provide me the outlet of writing my own stuff, even though I'm writing with somebody else, so that I can dip my toes back onto that side of it, since I've been doing so much client work. And it also provides that checks and balances of accountability of somebody who is going to, keep on me and make sure that I'm actually spending time doing this, and to fight me on ideas when I say I want a character to do this and they want the character to do that,
See, I think personally, you need to do a brand new series, just you. And here's why.
Okay. All right.
Here's why.
I have like 6 book series right now.
Yeah, whatever. So
You're like, another series. Great.
No. Here's the thing. This is the thing. Like, for the last few years, you've been again dealing with your own personal character development.
Mm-hmm.
You have a different voice than what you had a couple years ago. Whether you realize it or not, you have a different voice.
Sure.
And because you have a different voice, because you have that unique, again, a perspective you didn't have before, it would come out. I think for you, when you have a moment to really, really think about this, right? Maybe it's the guilt and fear and shame stuff you got, like we were talking about earlier. Maybe it's that creating that inner villain and letting it out on a page, or maybe it's something very important you've learned along the way that you really care about right now, that really concerns you. Whatever the case may be, I'm just spitballing shit right now.
Sure.
Right. The reality of the situation is, like, again, I'm gonna have 3 series on the go, but I can tell you why I care about them. Alice is about how you face fate. In the face of insurmountable odds, who are you going to be, and what does courage look like? And again, if you know me, that makes a lot of sense, right? My Lights Out is a homage to Ray Bradbury, The Nature of Happiness, right? That's the one I'm drawing. Another one this is shit I care about, right? I want you to think about what happiness and joy feels like in a world where it seems to be taken away from you all the time, right? Which, again, feels very real and very familiar at the same time, right? Right?
Yep.
3, I have a Russian fairy tale camel. I inverted camel. I turned the Knights of the Round into like the evilest sons of bitches on the planet.
Oh.
And some of them are men. I have changed them women, and I have an equivalent of a Night Witch soldier. Now, if anyone doesn't know this, look up the Night Witches of World War II. They are some of the most elite badasses you will ever see. They were Russian women that terrorized the Nazis. They were an incredible unit. They were far and away one of Russia's most successful armies. Right.
Okay.
And no one, and again, very few people are aware of them. But my main character, the question I have is, like, what does integrity and honesty have to do with you being a good or a bad person? These are things I care about. Like, you can sense all of those things. And when I get back to the Cloud Diver, it's a different way of looking at fear than what I've done. Whereas one character is finding courage in the face of insurmountable odds. The other one wants to run away and can't escape, right? Which is the other answer to that, right? And what that looks like. Yeah. Yes.
And Eva loves them. Yeah.
Yeah, no, if you look them up, they are incredibly badass women. And one of them in particular is going to have some, like, I'll spoil this slightly. I turned Percival into a glorified genie. It's kind of fun.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I turned Percival into a glorified. It fits
Nice.
him perfectly. So, but again, I've subverted expectations in a way that fits what's already there.
And that's important.
Yeah,
You
so right,
gotta make it fit.
right,
Yeah.
right. In your particular case, again, this is the shit I give a shit about. What does Katie Salidas give a shit about at this moment in her life? Because if she has an
Oh,
answer to that question, she has another book to write.
okay.
And I
Okay.
think you need that.
I'll have to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
That's not an easy answer. I'll have to think about it.
I didn't expect that. I didn't expect you to give me that answer on the air. Right? It's one of those things where I look at it and I see it and I go, you need to find what that is for you, I think, because your best work is yet to come, but it's owning what really matters to you.
Yeah.
Because once you have that, you'll know exactly what you'll be able to give to your readers.
And I think that's part of the reason remember on Saturday we were talking about I was blocked on book 5. Book 5 for the Agents of Asset series is almost completely written, and I can't finish it. For the last 2 years, I can't finish it. I don't want to. I have a mental block on it. And it's sad to let something just hang.
Yeah.
When it's that close to being done, but I won't release something that's not up to my standards.
I got you. One thing. So Anita, Galahad is one of the knights I turned into a woman. She's the most terrifying thing you will ever see. By far. She helped train my main character. Terrifyingly so. Like, she makes my main character look like an angel even now. Like, she's that terrifying. Right? So, but that's I just want to put that aside. No, I get that. But it's just, again, it seems to you like at this, like, whatever hit you overwhelmed you a little bit, and you were like, well, I'm going to shut down my give a fucks for the time being as I try to, like, navigate my way through all of this bullshit in my life, right? And it's fair. You got to do what you got to do, and I get it. You got bills to pay, and you got other things you got to do, and I totally get that.
Responsibilities.
Yes, that's why you'll never be truly a supervillain. You might be a
Adulting
villain.
is so overrated. I keep
Yeah,
telling my kids that. I'm like, you don't want to grow up. It's not fun.
yeah. No worries, Trish. No
Oh,
worries.
wow. Have we already gone an hour? We have. My goodness.
I know. Yeah, no, I tend to, like I said, we tend to go all over the place. Like I said, I had as much planned, Trish, with Katie as I had with you, but we're just talking about different things. So my next guest tomorrow, we'll be talking about other different things. That's just who I am. But that's the thing. Like, you have to. But that's what it sounds like for you. It sounds like you, for whatever reason, like, that block is probably, again, that thing that you really cared about in that. You're like, I don't know what that is anymore. Ergo, you're blocked. Right. When you find the answer to that question again, you're probably unblocked. You'll be like, oh. Then you might marry a
But will I
brand new.
care about the story in the same way?
But maybe. But there's, again, we can look at it, two sides of the coin. The answer is probably no, but you might care about it more.
That's
No,
sad if I leave that hanging because it's
no. There's the other side of that coin. No, you may not care about it the same way, but you might care about it more.
And that could provide new perspective too.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? It's not changing how you feel about a series isn't necessarily its death knell either. It's also just sometimes just you needed to take a step back to do what you had to do, right? And that's a very different. That's a very different thing than, oh my God, I don't care about this at all. No, that's not necessarily what it is. It's more like, I don't know what at this moment, I got so much other bullshit. Yeah, exactly. Right. And maybe that's what you need to do. And I think that maybe the moment you do that, I feel for you, co-writing, although I'm not saying you shouldn't co-write a series with Jane, because I know you two will have a blast together, because I watch. Go check out her show Spilling Ink at some point, ladies and gentlemen. Her and Jane are hilarious together when they're on.
Our previous episode was fun, and that was a completely random episode too.
It was totally random. I enjoyed that. As I would, right? But the thing is, right, with you, at some point, maybe, right, you're gonna have to look at your own stuff again. Okay, what the fuck do I give a shit about? You know what I mean? And that's a terrifying question at this point. But I do think you do care. It's just life has said, hey, we're gonna put this pile of stuff on you, and we're gonna let you do this because these are problems you feel like you can do. Like, again, mechanically speaking, you're a great writer. Anybody that wants to read her books really should. She's great at them. But
why, thank you.
Yes, but at the same time, like I said, it's for you. It's that awareness, that growth, that come to Jesus meeting of, hi, oh, this is the issue. Like you said, that's maybe it is about standing up for yourself, and maybe that maybe there's something there that again you're still going through. But
I'm definitely still going through.
You have like muscles on muscles, and like this, and they're like right all the way through. But that's the thing. Like we build ourselves through what we are, through our adversity.
Thank you, Anita.
Yeah, there you go.
We do have fun writing together, and we've known each other since the beginning. That's the thing. Sure. Jane and I have been in writing groups together. We've beta read for each other. We've been friends since both of us really got into writing. So we've kind of grown up with each other in the writing world, so to speak.
Yeah, no, there's and again, nothing but respect there, right? Nothing but. It's just one of those things where I'm looking at you going, yeah, you need something for you, like just for you. And that's kind of what I feel. Again, maybe I'm wrong to think that way, but that's kind of where I'm at with you. Like, I think Katie needs something a little bit more. So,
yeah,
could be crazy. Well,
we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
like I said, this year I know I'm still going through a lot of trials and errors and figuring out the fallout of things that were started a few years back. So it's not going to be an easy year.
It does happen.
And maybe that's it. Maybe the survivalist, feeling that I've been under for the last couple of years is the reason I haven't been writing my own stuff. But I haven't not been writing because I switched into ghostwriting. I've been writing other people's stuff, so I'm still exercising the muscle.
Well, again, it's too much a part of you to go away, but when you're writing for somebody else, the one thing is you get to check your brain and your heart out. It's about it's just about doing the work. I'm not saying there aren't pieces of you in your ghostwriting. There certainly are, but it's not the same because it's not yours. If it's yours, if it's yours, no one's going to give a crap more about your work than you. Just the way it is.
That is very true.
Yeah, right. But as a ghostwriter, it's not. It's like the immigration show I do. I care about it. I want it to be the best show it can possibly be, but I care about this show way more. And it's not a knock to that show.
It's your baby.
Yeah, it's your baby. It's my baby. And that show is also my baby. It's also a baby for another set of parents.
Yes.
At some point, I'm going to have to let that baby go. That's just
you're the caretaker. You're not the parent of that one. You're the caretaker.
Yeah, I'm just the caretaker. I'm there to basically write the instruction manual for whoever replaces me. To and again, I accept certain things about that, and there's some things I just go, I'll fight to a point. Whereas here, I can just try all kinds of crazy shit, and I can have fun. I can be a complete and royal fuck up, and it's fine because it's mine, right? Whereas when it's ghostwritten or when it's somebody else's thing, it's like, oh, I gotta be good ish. I wonder what I can get away with, and that's it. That's me.
See, there's the evil already coming out.
No, it's not necessarily evil. It's actually part of my job. I mean, legit, it is part. Think about a show. Think about a show, right? When I'm building a show up, I gotta know what the show is and isn't. And sometimes that means create. Like for example, we had a week where we had a lot of headlines. So doing other features beyond the headlines made no sense based on our time constraints. So you almost had to build another show within the show, right?
Okay.
That's part of my job. Like that, right? Now, I wanted to do some comedic stuff that unfortunately I'm not going to get to do. But that also serves a purpose too. Showing what the show is, what with the elastic opportunities of what the show can be. The more I do these things, the more I can actually have a comfortable idea what the comfort zone of what the show should be and where I can stretch it in different ways. So it's not necessarily even being evil either. It's part of my job.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah. Now that doesn't mean there isn't a little bit of a mischief streak in
Yeah,
me.
I was gonna say the mischief maker's coming out.
Yeah, there's definitely a little
push the limits.
Yeah, but again, I'm supposed to, right? I'm supposed to. I'm not. My job is to ask for as much as I can, do the best I can to make this show the best I possibly can. That also means though that I will be pushing boundaries. I have to. It's part of my mandate, right? So, and if I push too far, they'll fire my ass. It's okay. I've been fired before. It's not the end of the world. But I mean, but that's again, like that's part of my job. My job is to be that person that goes, okay, what if we do this? What if we do that? And again, I'm doing a massage therapist show. I start filming it on Sunday. That will be coming out sometime probably in March or April. Same thing. And we're going to establish the template for what the show is. And then we're going to push outside that comfort zone little by little to see what we can do with the show. Because sometimes you'll discover a format that's amazing. Sometimes you'll discover a format that sucks. But again, I do things and I embrace my accidents all the time. Okay. That's me. It works. I'm just smart enough to recognize, like, hey, this was good. The rest of this might have been shit, but that part was good. Let's see what I can do with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, keep going then. It sounds like you're enjoying it. So as long as you're enjoying what you're doing, that's important too.
No, I'm hoping to do more video work I want to help creators with their Kickstarters, trailers and stuff, book trailers and stuff like that. I've done a lot of video editing in the last couple months. I actually enjoy it's another form of creativity and it's fun. And I actually
video editing.
No, but because it's for me, it's storytelling. It's just a different it's a different kind of storytelling. I'm doing something that visually moves and is interesting and can actually, again, tell a story. And this is where maybe I'm just maybe a little bit of a whore. I'll be told like, right. And that is this. I can look at commercial stuff and appreciate the artistic value of commercial stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, next time you do it, I even have a rate for a Kickstarter video. I totally can do it. And I totally can do it. So you don't have to beg your daughter anymore, Trish. I got somebody. He's a trained professional-ish. And he'll yeah. Well, you can see my work. Like I every Thursday, like episode 9 is going to drop on Thursday. Like I'm filming the last little bit of it tonight. Okay. All right, and then I do video editing all day. Like that video editing is my job tomorrow, and it's done. And yeah, it's just one of those things. Like I got all this video editing training. I'm not that cheap.
Not that cheap.
No, I'm not. I might be a whore, but I'm a well-paid one. That's just how I'm going to be.
Know your worth.
No, it's so true. It is so true. What I've learned in the business of being an artist is your worth is you have to protect that above all else.
Yes.
Because people will dismiss you if you're too cheap. It's some of the reasons why my prices are where they're at is because it's not because I Do I think they're necessarily in terms of the worth of the work at the time? Not always, but it's also that master. It's a combination of the mastery I have. Yeah,
Wow.
I'm sorry, Trish. I'm not that cheap. I'm sorry. I'm just none of the cheap. But what it comes down to is, so like I said, I actually had the opportunity. I was supposed to last year in 2020. I was supposed to do a buddies campaign, and this is where I learned this lesson. Was I was well again? The rate seemed real reasonable, but I also realized that but I should charge a lot. I understood after that assignment why advertising was so expensive. It's
Mm-hmm.
not. It's not. I equate it to what you're really paying for with advertising is enthusiasm. No one's going to care like you do, but an
Yep.
advertiser will, if the incentive is there, care a lot. They want that result. At the same time, they're kind of like the call girl that fakes. Remember those old 1-900 numbers? I want that image sounds really terrible, but I want you to
That's
really
kind of
think about
perfect.
that. I want
Yeah.
you to think about that, right?
Yep.
It's accurate, right? No. Eh, we got good beef up in Alberta there, Trish. Like really, really good beef. So, but what I learned was, because my rate wasn't high enough, the person I was working with didn't value it enough.
Yep.
So I ended up firing them. Right, because there's just again, I have four conditions for firing people. That individual fulfilled 3 of the 4, and it was just like
Just not
I
enough.
gotta it
Yeah.
was yeah, I just and they still haven't talked to me since. I mean, they're still mad at me, I think, because but it was what
That's
else
gonna
could you
happen. Yeah.
well, there's nothing else I could have done, right? And I realized like one of the things like I had another offer similar to that, and I told them, yeah, no, I totally get that, Trish. I totally get that. I totally get that. Yeah. No, it's just one of those. It's one of those things I realized that if you don't charge enough, people don't respect you. It's just how the
Yep.
world works.
Yep.
And once I realized that, now would I do a Kickstarter campaign for somebody? Yes, for significantly more money than what was on the table then, because I recognized the work that goes into it, and I also recognize that it's a big strategy that's going to take up 30 to 60 days of my life. Easy, easy.
Yeah.
So right? That's not cheap. I'm not going to do it for cheap,
Nope.
right? Just not, right? But I learned a very valuable lesson. I mean, yes, my services are for sale, but I do not charge lightly for any of them because I recognize like this is my training, my value, my worth. And if you're not willing to pay me this, you're not going to respect me when I actually do it for you. Right? That's just
Yeah.
the way it is.
You're absolutely 100% right.
Yeah. So freelance, that was probably one of the hard that was one of the most important lessons I learned as a freelancer, and I'm just glad I learned it early.
Yep.
Yeah. There are lots of people that never do learn that lesson.
Mm. It's hard.
Could you imagine being able to like something you love doing it like you hated it? Like that would be hell. Like that would
Yeah.
be just like a really weird version of hell.
I think anything you do over a long period of time that you feel forced to do, whether you initially liked it or not, becomes something that you resent after a while.
Mhm. That's right.
So you got to be careful, especially if you're freelancing in something that you supposedly love to do, because there are many ways that freelancing can turn that into a hatred.
Yes. That's why always protect your price points. Always. Because it will minimize that resentment.
And stand up for yourself. Another theme that we've been talking about, because you have to be able to stand up for yourself, especially when it comes to dealing with clients on every level, whether it's the contract phase, whether it's on the delivery phase, whether it's on the working phase. Yeah, It's not as easy as you think.
No, it's not. Accountability is huge. But again, get people invested in you, it gets easy. But I think before we wrap up, I guess the big summary, it sounds like with you, at least on the air, is standing up for yourself has been very hard for you for a very long time. And if it's not, unless it's really personal, then in which case don't go into it too much, because I don't want you necessarily to burn any bridges you need to still have there. What was your breaking point? It sounds to me like you hit
too many little things. It's too many little things, and like I said, it's ongoing. It's not something that was like a one and done. It's been a consistent. I made a decision a few years ago that I've had to constantly have to defend in different ways. So
you set a line basically, and the universe has been like, try to cross it.
Yeah, and it's like a testing kind of way. It's not like I'm being punished for the line that I set. The setting the line was the right thing to do, but it comes with other issues that have to be worked on, and it's going to test my determination on setting that original boundary. So, and it's not done yet, and I don't know if this year will be the end of it or not, but it's something that I'm constantly working at this point.
I'm reminded of an episode of MASH, of all things, with that thought.
MASH is a good show.
MASH is a great show. MASH is a fantastic show. But I still remember this one little scene. There's only two things you have in this world: your dignity and your self-respect. And when you lose them both, you have to fight like hell to get them back.
Ooh, that's very poignant. Yep.
That's and whatever it sounds like you're going through, I hope you didn't give it away, but if you did, I'm hoping that you found it again, and because it's worth having. And honestly, like I said, you're an amazing person and writer. So,
well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right back at you.
Yeah, I think we have an interview here. What do you think?
I think we've done pretty good. We actually went hour and a half. Not too bad. And it went by like that. As always.
Yeah, really.
That's always the sign of a good show, especially when we're doing Spilling Ink. If that hour goes by, in a blink, you're like, wow, that was a good interview. I need that person back on again.
Yeah. And you have to come back when you release something at some point down the road.
Obviously.
Yeah, obviously. But for people watching, people listening, how do people find you?
Best place to go is my website, katiesalidas.com. It's just my name. And that is kind of your instant portal to all of my other social media. So it'll take you to my YouTube channel where we do Spilling Ink. It'll take you to my Instagram, my Twitter, my Facebook, anywhere you want to go, including where you can find my books. So katiesalidas.com. Keep it simple.
There we go, ladies and gentlemen. That is Katie's stuff. And is there anything you want to promote beyond what we've talked about?
Since Spilling Ink's the only thing that's ongoing right now, I would say that's probably what you want to check out first. We usually try to go weekly, but in the last 6 months or so, we kind of had to phase back a little bit. It's usually about every 2 weeks on Saturday. We are doing a brand new show. We bring on people who work within the publishing industry, whether that's authors, whether that's editors, cover designers, and we have just a fun chat.
And unlike me, they're a little bit more structured than I am most of the time.
Well, sort of. We usually have a general theme for the show and then kind of let it go where it goes.
Yes. Whereas Kay goes, what are we going to talk about tonight? I don't know. We'll figure it out.
I don't know what you want to talk about.
But anyways, folks, this is Katie Salidas. She's a really good friend. She's an awesome human being. More awesome than even she realizes, truth be told. But anyways, on that note, this is my latest release. This is Alice 1. It is Alice in Wonderland merged with Greek mythology. Alice is Pandora. She opens a certain box and gets a certain Cheshire cat inside her head. In this particular episode, Alice chases the Queen of Hearts over the edge of the world and ends up in the Greek underworld, where there she has to play Jason Croquet. There, inside that labyrinth of the dead, Alice and company faces gods, monsters, and perhaps the most terrifying thing of all, themselves. It's great. I really, 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 really enjoyed writing that.
I love it.
Yeah. It sneaks up on you, as Joe Compton said about it. It does sneak up on you. So I hope you guys check it out. Like I said, you'll be hearing more about it later. In about a month, I get to announce my next release, which is going to be kind of cool and scary because I'm drawing it. But for those watching, for those listening, thanks for watching and listening. Support twitch.tv/justjoshing podcast. Hit the follow button, enable notifications there. I'm going to also mention one of my sponsors here right now, Marigold Publishing. Currently, there is a special on for one of their anthologies called Far, Far Away. If you go in and put in the code Joshing, you can actually get the book for 25% off. So I'm going to be putting that in real quick here. Definitely go check them out. They were my first publisher. They're a really good group of people there, and you definitely will be impressed with some of the books they have. Some of my early stuff's there if you really want to check me out there. But beyond that, go to Far, Far Away and put the code Joshing in and take a look at 7 great stories of wonder there. Beyond all that, folks, that'll do it for today. I got an early morning tomorrow, 11:30 Central Time. I got Madeline Dale doing a book launch tomorrow. The rest of the week kind of looks like this. So I got Madeline Dale tomorrow, right? I got Michaela Jade Thursday. And then I got Lisa Marie Treese Friday. It's going to be a fun and wonderful time this rest of this week. And on the audio level, Stona Dula's 2-parter. Part 1 airs tomorrow. Part 2 airs Friday. So that, I think, is everything. So
wow, busy.
Just doing my thing.
There you
for
go.
those watching, for those listening, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Stay inspired. Keep shining in the dark. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.